I've been very lucky. I was able to find some more Ertl die-cast toys. Black Diesel's the one that was used in as Andy Diesel in episode 1, and of course in the Fireball and the repeated takes it completely lost its paintwork and also lost its little plastic face, so I'm going to have to mould a plastic face from the new Diesel that I've just bought. So it's a bit of a bonus. It's nice to keep the faces all the same. I was also able to pick up these 3 Diesels. They're still as original as they come from Ertl, and look, any Diesel will do me. I just need lots of Diesels for these next 2 episodes, so I'm quite happy to grab anything I can get. They might be smiling here, but they've got some evil plans in store for the railways. I might install these type of bogies on these Diesels. I'm running short of 3-axle sets, so just as long as it's a HO runner, that'll do me. So here's the lineup of all of the tender based engines that I have, which have now got their tenders separated. It was really nice that the idea of cutting the tenders off came from a viewer of my first vlog, and I'm always open for suggestions and good ideas. Really makes the comment section work on YouTube. Curious to hear your comments on your thoughts on the change of these models and the way they do look different now they've been cut away from the engine. But that tender really is an important part of the character. And there's a bit of a closer look of the tender area and how the junction was made. There's actually a small spring which has been implemented there as a coupling. Just here you can see how the coupling works, and it is totally flexible. Don't have to be doing any tight corners. Probably just see that small spring in there doing its work. And here's the other model. Probably the gap's a bit wide in this one. Wouldn't mind maybe closing it up a bit. Totally flexible. I can undo it. There's a screw in there that I can take out if I want to free the tender away. He may end up going LPG if he's not stubborn. The Thomas fans really love these larger engines, so we had to make them work. These models are quite long, so I come along and I cut into this area here completely through, and I put a little bit of patchwork in there to fill up the gaps, and also I put a small set of bogies on the back here and some larger wheels here. But the problem is we lose the character of the engine, and I think a few of the people had already said that on some of the comments that I'd seen from the first vlog. People want to see these larger engines running in the series. The only way to do that is to get the HO wheels on them. This might be the bogie configuration I'll use. Still yet to be decided. Once you open these models up and start cutting stuff, tend to take on a different course. I'll just lay stuff out like this first and see how it looks. It takes a bit of time to do this. There's quite a few hours work in cutting the tender off and patching it up. Sort of becoming a bit of a model train buff doing these videos. On this James model, I'm just showing you it before it gets painted, and you can see where the cutting was done, which joined the tenders to the engine, and there's this piece of styrene filled in and then just basically covered in araldite dye to give it a nice plastic fill. Here's the wheel layout for the James model. We also found this very beaten up old Ertl, this 1989 series. Before the plastic faces were put on, it's got a paper face. So I'm going to have to do some alterations here and some major restoration work to make this fit in with the rest of the pristine models that I've got. Once again, it's going to be a giant job to fit wheels across. There you can see the little face. Who knows, I'm probably cutting up a rare model here. I really don't know. The paintwork's pretty badly chipped up. This toy's had a lot of play. Now this might be the wheel configuration. It's got quite a large tender on it, although the Douglas Donald model's, I believe, the largest. And again, it's a matter of cutting the tender off here, patching it up with styrene, and then painting it to match as much as possible. But this model's so badly damaged paint-wise, it's going to need a total respray to get it looking fresh and new. These Ertls are very hard to find. Sure, they're all over eBay. Find them in shops. Very, very rare. This will probably be the wheel configuration I'll choose for this of the largest steam models. This is the area here that'll be cut through to separate the tender from the engine. That very hard to find Gordon model is now fully restored. It's been fitted out with HO bogies, and like all the other larger engines, the tender has been cut away from the main body. Here we see underneath the engine, and that's the HO bogie layout. Here's a close-up of the area where the tender was separated away from the engine. I'm not sure which face I'll put on this model, because remember it came with a paper one. Maybe this one will do. What's the name of this face? So there's a challenge for you. Name that face, if you know your Thomas faces. I've grabbed some of these magnetic coupling ones and I've changed those to HO bogies already, and when there's multiples usually there's going to be some sort of explosion with them. I also found some Ertl diesels of the same type, although the colours the actual yellow on them is quite different. This Black Diesel, I love just that black one, and he'll play like the diesels are really coming into play now. So there's a magnetic coupling model on the left and an Ertl on the right. There's a number of differences there. Sort of same shape and relative size, but when you look closely and the more you look at them, there's actually quite a few differences. I found a Toby model, quite like this one. I think it's a very popular model in the series. It'll suit the 3-axle bogie very well. There's not much change in transferring this to HO. He's sort of innocent looking, isn't he? You know, who knows, he might even be the Mad Bomber. Yeah, it's not all about the model trains, there's also a whole heap of other small things you need to make the video. A lot of this stuff was used in episode 1 and it'll be used again. I've also been carefully cloning Andy Diesel's face. They might be smiling, but they're going to cause a whole heap of trouble. And there's the cast in the original face that I made the imprint from. Once you've made that cast, you can make as many faces as you want. Still very much a work in progress, but my diesels may end up looking like this, just painted black with a silver face. I didn't have enough of the 3-axle bogies, so some of the cloned diesels will have to have these 2-axle bogies attached. Once they're painted black, you'll never know. Just lining a couple up to see what they look like. They're not painted yet, just getting a general feel for the look of them. Don't look too bad considering they're just cast resin dummies. I always like to line stuff up just to get a feel for how it looks. And of course these diesels are meant to have a bit of a mean streak, and I think we're getting there for the look. Those silver faces are really quite startling. I don't know whether to go in and paint the eyes black. Sometimes less is more on things like this, and to just keep it really simple. I've had a number of people ask me about the picture I use as my wallpaper of the 3 diesels. I'm a big fan of using torches to light my model railway scenes. It's a pretty simple setup. There's just one large torch at the back and 2 smaller torches at the front lighting each side. I've used rubber dust as a black ballast, and that's also what I used for the look of coal in the video rolling stock. Rubber dust is a recycled product made up of old tyres. Once you turn the lights out and the torch is on and you line everything up, you get something like this. Although the wallpaper shot was done with a stills camera, not a video camera. I'm preparing this diesel to have a cast made just of this side, and what will happen is there'll be silicone poured in here, and then from that, once it's dry, it'll give me an imprint of the section that I require, then I can cast from that. Right, I've completely filled the mould with silicone and allowed it to dry completely. And I'll now go in and remove the die cast model away from the mould, and there we can see a pretty good impression that I can make a cast of as many sides of the model as I want. And you can see here in a mirror image that every detail has been transposed into the silicone.
And let me just add, this is in no way my field of expertise.
I've just poured the casting product into the moulds. Okay, the casting material is dried, and we can see we've got our side of our diesel in perfect representation. Just have to cut away some of the flashing on it. I also made a cast of another very famous character, and I think you'll all know him. And I'll just try and get him out of his silicone grave here, very carefully. And I need 2 of these, but of course I can't get these anymore, but I've got a little cast now that I can use to make that little guy there. And while we're pulling things out of moulds, we'll also see what we've got in here. Ah, there he is, looking no worse for wear from being in his silicone grave. What's better than having 1 fat controller? Having 2 fat controllers. I'm also just having a look at the final look of the LPG tanks and the now changed diffuser wagon with the explosive sign. These wagons will be given a knockback of shellac, but like in the first episode, I'll leave the engines nice and bright, full colour. It's a bit of a dangerous mixed load, isn't it? LPG and explosives all in one.